not left my source, remaining part of who created me, your son, my Father, calls on you today. Your son, my Father, calls on you today. Let me remember you created me. Let me remember my identity, and let my sinlessness arise again before Christ's vision, through which I would look upon my brothers and myself today. Let me remember God created me. Let me remember God created me. Now is our source remembered, and therein we find our true identity at last. Holy indeed we are, because our source can know no sin, and we who are his sons are like each other and alike to him. Let me remember God created me. 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 Well, thank you all so much for joining me here on the banks of Lost Creek, right outside of Racine, Missouri, here in the Ozarks. And I'm Miracle Willie, forgiveness teacher from the Ozarks. Lost Creek's a little low right now. One of our holidays we'll talk about here in a moment, go ahead and tell you now, is Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer. And you know, working with nature, we want to learn to be more of like Galileo was a biomimic. You know, looked at nature to try to understand how to do things in the natural world. And a whole school of thought that's developing is called biomimicry. So anyway, getting a little ahead of myself, let's take a look at what is sin in our, and the reason I say all that is because a friend of mine, Ron Wheelock, a shaman who lives in Peru, been there for many years, he told me, he said, Will, the first time that that any of the people around here have ever seen the upper Amazon go dry. He's in Iquitos, Peru, and it's going dry. So our effects on the planet, we're not in harmony like all the other plants and animals, and we need to get our act together, don't we? So biomimicry is something we could all study. Let me remember God created me. Let me go ahead and read it. Father, I did not make myself, although in my insanity I thought I did. Yet as your thought, I have not left my source, remaining part of who created me. Your Son, my Father, calls on you today. Let me remember you created me. Let me remember my identity, and let my sinlessness arise again before Christ's vision, through which I would look upon my brothers and myself today. And the prayer says, now is our source remembered, and therein we find our true identity at last. Holy indeed are we, because our source can know no sin, and we who are his sons are like each other and alike to him. Let me remember, God created me. God created you, and he doesn't make junk. You are a perfect, beautiful child of God. What is sin? Back a few pages. Sin is insanity. It is the means by which the mind is driven mad and seeks to let illusions take the place of truth. And being mad, it sees illusions where the truth should be and where it really is. Sin gave the body eyes, for what is there the sinless would behold? What need have they of sights or sounds or touch? What would they hear or reach to grasp? What would they sense at all? To sense is not to know, and truth can be but filled with knowledge and with nothing else. The body is the instrument the mind made in its efforts to deceive itself. Its purpose is to strive. Yet can the goal of striving change, and now the body serves a different aim for striving. What it seeks for now is chosen by the aim the mind has taken as replacement for the goal of self-deception. Truth can be its aim as well as lies. The senses then will seek instead for witnesses to what is true. Sin is the home of all illusions, which but stand for things imagined, issuing from thoughts that are untrue. They are the proof that what has no reality is real. Sin proves God's Son is evil. Timelessness must have an end. Eternal life must die. And God himself has lost the Son he loves with but corruption to complete himself. His will forever overcome by death. Love slain by hate, and peace to be no more. A madman's dreams are frightening, and sin appears indeed to terrify. Yet what sin perceives is but a childish game. The Son of God may play he has become a body, prey to evil and to guilt, with but a little life that ends in death. But all the while his Father shines on him, and loves him with an everlasting love, which his pretenses cannot change at all. How long, O Son of God, will you maintain the game of sin? Shall we not put away these sharp-edged children's toys? How soon will you be ready to come home? Perhaps today? There is no sin. Creation is unchanged. Would you still hold return to heaven back? How long, O Holy Son of God? How long? Let's don't hold heaven back. Let's let our prayer we've been praying for 2,000 years be fulfilled this day. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. See, your brother is sinless. Practice forgiveness. Let me remember, God created me. Okay, let's go back and look in our text reading. The alternate to dreams is where we're ready for in chapter 28, the undoing of fear, section 5. The alternate to dreams of fear. Of course, the alternate to dreams of fear would be dreams of peace or dreams of forgiveness. The innocence, to see sinlessness everywhere. That's how we do it. Realize anything you saw that was sin was simply your imagination. It was contrary to reality. And you want to learn to let it go. See reality in its place. Okay, in holidays and observances and Drexel University, I found that it's Mawlid Day, which is, actually it's on the 16th, but it begins at sundown on the 15th, and it's Muhammad's birthday. It's the 12th day of the 3rd month, which is Rabi al-Awwal, is the name of that month. So that's an Islamic holiday. Happy birthday, Muhammad. Blessed be his name. Anne Bradstreet Day. She was a colonial poet that was born in 1612 and died on this day in 1672 in the colonies, Massachusetts. International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer, which I mentioned already. Encourage you to look into biomimicry. Tune into nature. Use nature as our pattern to know how to live on this planet. Mayflower Day. Today is the day that the Pilgrims set forth from Plymouth, England in 1620 on this day, on the Mayflower. And I think, anyway. Cinnamon Raisin Bread Day. Collect Rocks Day. Day of prayer in remembrance of the victims of Hurricane Katrina, which happened actually in August of 2005. Guacamole Day. If you like guacamole and you can in an area where you can grow avocados, do so. They can handle a little frost, some varieties more so than others. The Persea americana is the a very common species. They're all Perseas, and I think there's 3 main species, but the Americana is the one that I think is the most commonly grown in America, maybe. Mexican Independence Day, and I forgot to look at the date, the year for that, but evidently today. So happy Independence Day for you Mexican folks that are celebrating. Play-Doh Day, Stay Away from Seattle Day. I don't know what's with that. Step Family Day. You know, if you got a mom or pop and they're not maybe biological, but they fulfill the role, well then you owe them the honor of treating them like a mom or a dad. Tattoo Story Day. Tell your story about tattoos today. Respect for the Aged Day. Okay, well that's always a good thing to do. Teenage Workout Day. Get your exercises. Trail of Tears Commemoration Day. The Trail of Tears was from 1831 to 1850. The forced relocation of many of the Native American tribes to the Indian Territory, Oklahoma. Working Parents Day and Wrinkled Raincoat Day. And then there's the Theta Filbert nut, the Corylus avellana, out of Edible Landscaping. It says of the Theta, the Theta hazelnut breeding program, or it just says the hazelnut breeding program at Oregon State University, directed by Sean Mellenbacher, uses the genetic diversity in the genus Corylus to create new cultivars with resistance to Eastern Filbert blight. Theta is a 2009 release that is immune to the blight. Theta pollinates Jefferson and Etta with sizable nuts of its own. Plants are on their own roots, zones 5 through 8. So if you like eating hazelnuts or filberts, then you might think about a Theta. Okay, let me remember God created me. Now let's take a look at our text reading. The alternate to dreams of fear. What is a sense of sickness but a sense of limitation? What is a sense of sickness but a sense of limitation? Of a splitting off and separating from. A gap that is perceived between you and your brother and what is now seen as help. And so the good is seen to be outside, the evil in. And thus is sickness separating off the self from good and keeping evil in. God is the alternate to dreams of fear. Who shares in them can never share in him. If you share in the dreams of fear, you can't share in the dreams of God, or you can't share with God. Said God is the alternate to dreams of fear. Who shares in them can never share in him. But who withdraws his mind from sharing them is sharing him. There is no other choice. Except you share it, nothing can exist. Except you share it, nothing can exist. And wait, so our existence comes about through relationships. And you exist because God shared his will with you that his creation might create. Paragraph 2. It is the sharing of the evil dreams of hate and malice, bitterness and death, of sin and suffering and pain and loss that makes them unreal, that makes them real. Unshared, they are perceived as meaningless. The fear is gone from them because you did not give them your support. Let's read that again. It is the sharing of the evil dreams of hate and malice, bitterness and death, of sin and suffering and pain and loss that makes them, I'm going to add the word seem real, because they can't really be real, but they can seem real. So he says that makes them real, makes them experiential in this illusion. Unshared, they're perceived as meaningless. The fear is gone from them because you did not give them your support. Where fear has gone, their love must come, because there are but these alternatives. Where one appears, the other disappears, and which you share becomes the only one you have. You have the one that you accept, because it is the only one you wish to have. So if you have fear, you're not going to have love. If you have love, you're not going to have fear. So we want to learn to be really good at staying in the love vibration, which is to see the innocence in our brothers and sisters and ourselves. Paragraph 3. You share no evil dreams if you forgive the dreamer and perceive that he is not the dream he made. You share no evil dreams if you forgive the dreamer and perceive that he is not the dream he made, and so he cannot be a part of yours from which you both are free. Forgiveness separates the dreamer from the evil dream and thus releases him. Remember, if you share an evil dream, you will believe you are the dream you share. And fearing it, you will not want to know your own identity because you think that it is fearful. And the word identity and it are both capitalized because, your true identity is your link with God. And you will deny your capitalized self, and you will deny yourself, walk upon an alien ground which your Creator did not make, and where you seem to be a something you are not. You will make war upon yourself, which seems to be your enemy, and will attack your brother as a part of what you hate. There is no compromise. You are yourself or an illusion. What can be between illusion and the truth? A middle ground where you can be a thing that is not you must be a dream and cannot be the truth. Either fear or illusion. Either be at peace or be in fear. Value God or love, or value your insane perception apart from God. Paragraph 4. You have conceived a little gap between illusions and the truth, to be the place where all your safety lies and where yourself is safely hidden by what you have made. Here is a world established that is sick, and this the world the body's eyes perceive. Here are the sounds it hears, the voices that its ears were made to hear. Yet sights and sounds the body can perceive are meaningless. It cannot see nor hear. It does not know what seeing is, what listening is for. It is as little able to perceive as it can judge or understand or know. Its eyes are blind, its ears are deaf, it cannot think, and so it cannot have effects. Paragraph 5. What is there God created to be sick? What is there God created to be sick? Let me remember. God created me. So you ask yourself this question today. What is there God created to be sick? And what that He created not can be. And what that He created not can be. Let not your eyes behold a dream, your ears bear witness to illusion. They were made to look upon a world that is not there, to hear the voices that can make no sounds. Yet are there other sounds and other sights that can be seen and heard and understand. For eyes and ears are senses without sense. Senses without sense. And what they see and hear, they but report. It is not they that hear and see, but you, who put together every jagged piece, each senseless scrap and shred of evidence, and make a witness to the world you want. Let not the body's ears and eyes perceive these countless fragments seen within the gap that you imagined, and let them persuade their Maker. His imaginings are real. Wow. You're going to believe what your eyes and ears, you're going to report. Your mind reports to your eyes and ears what it wants to see, is what he's saying. Paragraph 6, creation proves reality because it shares the function all creation shares. It is not made of little bits of glass, a piece of wood, a thread or two, perhaps all put together to attest its truth. Reality does not depend on this. There is no gap that separates the truth from dreams and from illusions. Truth has left no room for them in any place or time, for it fills every place and every time and makes them wholly indivisible. And the last paragraph to finish this section, 7. You who believe there is a little gap between you and your brother, do not see that it is here you are as prisoners in a world perceived to be existing here. The world you see does not exist because the place where you perceive it is not real. The gap is carefully concealed in fog, and misty pictures rise to cover it with vague, uncertain forms and changing shapes, forever unsubstantial and unsure. Yet in the gap is nothing. There is no space between you and your brother, only in the world of illusions, where your mind that's separated from God, the insane mind, is making a report. And there are no awesome, yet in the gap is nothing. And there are no awesome secrets and no darkened tombs where terror rises from the bones of death. Look at the little gap, and you behold the innocence and emptiness of sin that you will see within yourself when you have lost the fear of recognizing love. Wow, we want to let that come sooner rather than later, to lose the fear of recognizing love. Okay, well listen, today, try your best every hour of the day to bring this idea to your mind. Let me remember God created me. Let me remember God created me. Father, I did not make myself, although in my insanity I thought I did. Yet as your thought, I have not left my source, remaining part of who created me. Your Son, my Father, calls on you today. Let me remember you created me. Let me remember my identity, and let my sinlessness arise again before Christ's vision, through which I would look upon my brothers and myself today. Now is our source remembered, and therein we find our true identity at last. Holy indeed we are, because our source can know no sin. And we who are his sons are like each other and alike to him. So, every hour today, try to, at the top of the hour, to remember to pause. If you have a grandfather clock, that really helps. If you don't, you might set a little timer. If you don't do that, and you do like me, I just try to remember it, and I miss a lot of the top of the hours. But I do try to catch up for it, make up for it when I notice what time it is. Let me remember God created me. And then when you stop for that moment of pause, try to find something to give God thanks for. Today you could just be thankful that God created you perfect, beautiful, and whole, and that you have life running through you, that you are an eternal being. Anyway, find something to give God thanks for. Ask him for direction to know what to do in your world in the next hour to come. And then be sure to take a longer time in the morning and in the evening to sit and hang out with this idea. Let me remember. Let me remember. God created me. Let me remember. God created me. Let me remember. God created me. Father, I did not make myself. I did not make myself. Although in my insanity I thought I did. Yet as your thought, I have not left my source, remaining part of who created me, who created me. Your Son, my Father, calls on you today. Let me remember you created me. Let me remember my identity. been before Christ's vision, through which I would look upon my brothers and myself today. Let me remember God created me. Let me remember God created me. Now is our source remembered, and therein we find our true identity at last. Holy indeed we are, because our source can know no sin. Holy indeed are we, because our source can know no sin. And we who are his sons are like each other and alike to him. Let me remember God created me. Let me remember God created me. Oh, let me remember God created me. 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 Oh, let me remember God created me. Let me remember God created me. Let me remember God created me. Just rest in the knowledge that you call on God today. Call on him to help yourself remember that God created you. Let me remember God created me. See the innocence everywhere. And our word for peace is out of the Jamaican Creole language, Gutpula taim. Gutpula taim. Let me remember God created me. Gutpula taim.